Wow, Ethan, great moves. Keep it up. Proud of you.
Darn good showing, my Dromais. It's Mansant here to herald in one of the best Dromai players we could hope to learn from going into the Flesh and Blood World Championships. Now, I'd like to reach across the aisle to those illusionist stands out there to welcome to the channel Noah Clark, an excellent Dromai player who made it to second place at the 130 player plus Battle Hardened 10K in Columbus. What a mouthful. Noah, great to have you.
You know, Ethan, it's great to be here. I'm just glad I get to spread my dragon-based knowledge across the world.
Hey, you're not here to convert any Levi players to Dromai. Just making that clear, okay? Levi stands, hold steady, okay? But this is really exciting because you are a great player. Want to learn a little bit more about you before we jump into the deck tech. So let's learn where you're from and what's your history with Fab and other card games.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm kind of based out of the Southern Ontario, Canada area, kind of like Toronto-ish, which I'm sure people have heard multiple people talking about that scene and the kind of level of play that is. So my skill level is kind of down to that. It's just the people I see at my ProQuest and my RTNs are terrifying. So kind of translates. In terms of my TCG background, I started back, as many people did, with Yu-Gi-Oh! Like as a kid, and then high school I kind of got into it competitively. Played a couple regionals here or there. Never was really too successful. And transitioned to Magic with a lot of my friends. Played a solid amount of that. Played at there was like our 3K circuit that kind of happened in Southern Ontario that I played a bunch at. Made some money. Never really did any pro tours or Grand Prix. Wasn't that great. And then COVID hit, and I got really into this digital card game called Legends of Runeterra, which I kind of played a ton of ladder. I got really into it. It was COVID, right? So you didn't really have much else to do. Kind of realized I was good at this. I was like, hey, if I actually tried at a card game, maybe I could actually do well. So I was kind of okay at that game. And a bunch of those guys jumped shipped over to Flesh and Blood. Shout out to Majin Bay, Caleb Van Patten. He got me into it. And then I was kind of hey, restrictions are lifted. There's a store where I'm living now that plays Flesh and Blood. I'll pick up some cards. I'll show up. I'll see how I do. And I honestly didn't actually get into the card game that much at first, the first couple games I played. It wasn't until I sort of built my own deck and made my own deck building decisions. It was I came to this conclusion of why am I playing this versus why am I not playing this? And when I thought about it, I was wait, this game goes way, way deeper than I originally thought. And then from that moment on, I kind of just got absolutely hooked and just started RTNs, ProQuest, this Battle Hardened. I wanted to play everything.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? Like you just said, with deck building, just this knowledge of you will see these cards. You will see sometimes the exact count of these cards. You're going through the whole first cycle. You're setting up how you draw these cards. It's a whole different world than these card games we played previously. You said you played Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's play Yu-Gi-Oh! Myself, and those OTK decks, they do not go that long. So yeah, it's crazy. Crazy different card game. You're obviously very, very good at it. Really excited to, learn more about this Dromai deck. Dromai, very, very interesting, deep hero that came out in Uprising. So let's just jump into the deck tech.
Absolutely.
All right, Noah, so we've got your deck on screen here, the deck that you did indeed take to second place at this Battle Hardened. And this will be a really enlightening deck tech because there really isn't that one cut and dry way to play Dromai just yet. So how would you categorize this version of the deck overall and your general game plan before you start sideboarding?
Yeah, for sure. So with Dromai, I think there's kind of two schools of thought right now. There's the aggressive Phantasm Attack redline focus version, which is something I did test. But after testing and theorying and looking at the matchups, I came to this, which is kind of the mid-range, more controlling combo-y dragon-heavy version. A little bit of a higher blue count, basically no Phantasm attacks. Generally speaking, this did what I wanted to do, which was beat the Guardians, beat the slower decks. Realistically, just kind of beat everything except for two specific matchups. But I'll go into that later.
Right. What a great place to be, actually, if it pretty much beats everything except just a handful. Well, that's awesome. So how about lead us in here? You already said there's no Phantasm attacks, so that means the root of your game plan is these dragons, right? So what'd you take here?
Absolutely. So I ran with what was kind of the stock dragon build, which is a 3 of every dragon, with some notable exceptions. First of all, I was only on 1 Uvia, which I think is also becoming stock. Generally speaking, Uvia is the single most ash-hungry dragon. You really don't want to see more than 1 of it. It's not great into aggro, and in slow matchups, you'll have time to find it and kind of set it up. So the 1 of is great. I don't think I'd ever play 2 or 3. And I'm also playing 0 Thamai, not even the sideboard.
Yeah, I was actually just looking for that. No Themi. All right.
No Themi. I am of the school of thought, and I might be alone in it, that Themi is a bad card. 2-mana dragons are very hard to play. Uvia is powerful enough that it's worth it by itself. And I do not think I needed the extra sideboard tech to beat Wizard. I think that Wizard matchup is fine, and I will talk about why later. But Themi just did not fit the deck, and I generally just think it's the worst dragon by far. So we cut it out. It's gone.
You do have some attacks, like you said, really lacking the Phantasm. I see 1 blue Embermaw notably. But you've got stuff like the Billowing, the CNCs, the lovely Dust Up. I absolutely love that card. E-Strike, and just making sure I don't miss anything else. There we go. Sweeping Blows, rounding it out. So what's the build there?
So absolutely. I think I'm just going to I kind of categorize them in my head as the aggressively slanted reds, and the blues are kind of their own separate category. So that's stuff like your red Sweeping Blow, which is a staple. You need it. It generates ash. 1 for 3, go again. Doesn't seem like great rate on its surface, but the fact that it often generates you 2 ash because you pitch a red means it's invaluable. It's a staple. I am always happy to see Sweeping Blow. Never cut it in any matchup. Then we've got the Billowing Mirage. Billowing Mirage is kind of mediocre in my opinion. Obviously, deal 3, make an Ashwing seems great, but it's very ash hungry. If you pitched off a blue, you were going down ash on the play. If you pitched off a red, you were just making an ash and then using it. So it will never be ash positive, which is annoying because Ashwings aren't the best use of ash in a lot of times. But it's a 3-block and it's a red go again, so it's worth playing it still as 2 of. We've got the 3 Dust Ups. The red Dust Ups are specifically there for aggro. So your Rune Blades, your Ninjas, your aggressive dashes, your Rangers, they are fantastic. They are great chain enders in a matchup where you don't have to worry about popping. They're great with Dromai because you can then attack with the Ashwing if you need to. And they are fantastic in a match where you can go, okay, I will block with 3 cards for 9 and swing back with a Dust Up. That's just a great 4-card hand sometimes. We don't play them into Guardian because you never get to the end of the chain and you never really block out with your hand. And as well, a 4-on hit's not really that big of a deal. Moving on to Enlightened Strike, which is a core card. This really never comes out. Basically, there's a lot of thought about playing cards like Miraging Metamorph because it's a 1 for 7, right? But we don't play Tunic, and all of our cards are red. So a 1 for 7 is a 2-card 7. And if you're looking at 2-card 7s, you look at E-Strike because it can be a 2-card 7, but it can also be a 5 go again. It can also draw you a card in the pinch. It does everything. The way I like to describe it is that Dromai is a jigsaw puzzle with a lot of sharp edges that don't quite fit together sometimes. E-Strike is the glue you pour in that sticks it together. It's mid, but it's always mid. It's never worse than mid.
And so you're saying E-Strike is how you cheat the puzzle. That's really what it is. This is the crazy tech right here. Just pour glue over that jigsaw and it just works. Yeah, that's pretty genius. I don't actually remember seeing this in Peyton was on the channel a bit earlier with another great finish out of Battle Hardened with Dromai, but he had no thoughts on E-Strike because he wasn't even running it. So love it. Love your explanation on that.
And the 2 other reds that are kind of offensive reds, one of which is actually blue, is for the aggressive matchups, are CNC and Pursuit of Knowledge, which in my head I mentally have as blue CNC because it's a blue and when you need it. But it's part of a critical mass of on hits to threaten and chew through fridges out of people like Rune Blades. Because the Rune Blade's going to show up with like 5 to 6 armor, which sometimes they'll spend on Vincerikai, sometimes they'll spend on Kyloria. But sometimes you just want to chew through it with your pursuits, with your CNCs, in a way to like put them on the back foot and seize tempo. And then for non-attacks that are aggressively slanted reds, we have Rake the Emperors, which is one of the best cards in the deck. Ashwings are amazing. It generates ash. It's a red. It's fantastic. It's a 2-block, so we don't run the blue. We don't play it into Fi and Dory because they can farm off of Ashwings. Every other matchup, it's great. And then 2 Burn the Malls. Burn the Mall is interesting. A lot of Dromais like to play 3, and they like to play it core. I have found that I've actually been sighing out a lot against aggressive decks, which I don't know if that's correct. And it's something I want to test more. But it's a key part of winning the Guardian matchup. It's a key part of winning slower matchups. At the very least, it's a 0 red go again with your dragons, and it blocks for 3. So I think I will never go below 2. I will maybe go to 3. It's interesting.
Yeah, we're actually going to get to a VOD review, but I believe Burn Them All is a absolute critical piece in how you ended up taking down decks like Bravo. So
the next portion is the defensive portion. Dromai is one of the most defensive decks in the format. You go long, you take the control route even against Guardians sometimes. Generally speaking, I am running 60 reacts in the form of Syncable and Vapor Scenes. I'm running 2 Oasis Respite. I'm running 3 Sigil Solace, and I put Tome of Fiendel kind of in this category as well, which is its own interesting conversation. In terms of what's a staple and what's not here, 3 Sigil and 3 Sync is staple. That's going to be in every Dromai deck. They're simply the best defensive cards. Sigil is both defensive and offensive. There's nothing better than seeing a Sigil on turn 1 and saying, okay, Sigil, I now have played a red, pitch to Furnace to make an Ash. I start the game at 43 with 1 Ash. That's a fantastic turn 1. It's amazing. It's also gain 3 life against Iyslander, when sometimes you can't convert your cards into blocking 3 arcane damage. Sync Blow is obviously Sync Blow. Up until recently, the Fate for Scenes were actually sand covers. And then I found that I was just running into too many Ash problems versus the aggressive decks, and I needed the extra D-React, so they became Fate for Scenes. And then I looked at the Oasis Respites, which are for Guardians and for Wizards. And I was thinking to myself, man, are these supposed to be sand covers now? But I found that versus Bravo specifically, I was running out of Ash a lot if I played sand cover in that slot, so it didn't make much sense. And versus Iyslander, there's an interesting little interaction between sand cover and what Iyslander does. So the way that matchup works, the only cards you want to sand cover or Oasis is the red Aether Ice Fiend they play on their turn. And if they go red Aether Ice Fiend and you sand cover, then they can Waning Moon after it resolves to break your ward, which means you need a blue to AB 2 pieces of the Waning Moon, and then 1 blue, 1 last resource to cover the rest of the Ice Fiend. So in reality, even though Oasis you have to pay 1 for, you actually get to spend less resources to fully block out an Ice Fiend. So in the end, I was like, okay, Oasis Sprite kind of makes sense as the card to play, defensive card for that matchup.
And wow, what a great way to look at cards and evaluate cards like that. The sand cover interaction, I think at this point, is definitely like a bit of a gotcha still with Waning Moon on top of the stack. But I think some people just concede that, oh, okay, like that's why, sand cover is bad, but you've mathed it out now to why Oasis is just mathematically the better card. That's really, really great insight. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the Tome of Fiendel is there for the Mage Master Boots turn. I play it into aggressive. It basically lets you say, for 1 turn of the game, I am going to play a true 5-card hand. I'm going to gain 5 life. And if you pitch the blue, you're going to have a 1 floating resource. And that lets you triple dragon or play some way above rate and really swing the tempo. It's a fantastic tech. A lot of people worked on it. Tarek Patel, Jamie Faulkner, et cetera, et cetera. I was actually already on Mage Master Boots for Passing Mirage instead of Tome of Fiendel. And I was like, oh, now I have a reason to play Mage Master Boots in the aggro matchups as well, which is part of why Mage Master Boots is the stock footwear for Dromai now. It's a very key card. Like, I beat a Fi in Swiss, and it was solely off of being able to Tome of Fiendel, gain 5 life, make a tonal attack. Like, everything went right. It just lets you high roll, which I think is very, very important.
Oh yeah, what a turn when you combine the life gain on top of smoking aggro with a Tumultai. This really tends to be that amazing dragon to eat things like Mask, right? God forbid you play a Ranger and you hit New Horizon. There's a lot of positives, a lot of high rolls with Tumultai. So yeah, off of Final's turn sounds even better. So you've got one part of the deck left to really talk about here, and that is some of your blue base in the E-Pot, the Ember Maw, then of course like Passing and Semblance. I assume these aren't for every matchup, but when are you trying to use them?
So the stock blues are like the blue sweeping blue. It's great, makes Ash, etc.
Right.
The blue Ember Maw and the blue Dust Up. I think blue Dust Up might low-key be the best card in the deck. It's kind of insane. In terms of what I have in my head categorized as the Guardian blues, these are the E-Pot, the 3 Passing Mirage, and the 1 Semblance. So the E-Pot is there it's for Iyslander, but it's also for strictly against Oldhim. You put it on board, and then you don't have to play around exposed to the elements the rest of the game because of Ghostly Touch, which I'm sure we'll get to in the equipment slot. Ghostly Touch is your breaking case of emergency way you beat Guardians. It is your final plan against Fatigue Guardians. It's your main GwenCon, and a lot of these supplement that. So Semblance is there to stack with 2 other blues to hit it for your final attack with the Ghostly Touch. But I've also used it on Vincericais when they're getting through, as push the extra arcane damage. I've used it on a Kyloria once. It's kind of a little more flexible than you'd think. But you definitely do throw it away until like the 3rd or 4th cycle. Passing Mirage is obviously there for popper matchups. A common play I will make is I will put out a Mirror Guy and I will put out Passing Mirage. And I will say to my opponent, make your choice. I am getting a Phantasm free attack this turn and next turn, which with certain dragons can be game breaking. In addition, it also combos with Mage Master Boots, because you can crack your Mage Master Boots, play a passing, and then you get a Phantasm free hit on a Ghostly Touch. And if that takes up their entire hand, then they can't kill your Passing Mirage, which means you just get to put them in the lock. So Passing Mirage is a very, very key card. It also comes in, obviously, against Iyslander and Viserai when I need more blues, just to deal with Arcane Barrier.
Right. Now, were you happy with this count? I've seen a lot of Dromai sometimes go for 2 Semblance, 2 Passing Mirage, but you've obviously split it at 3 and 1. What was the thought on that?
Well, I don't think you can go below 3 Passing Mirage. I think it's just in the matchups where it's important. It's the best card in the deck. You want as many as possible. We used to be on 2 Semblance, and I've seen people go to 0 Semblance and play a Time Snap instead, because Time Snap works the same way as Mage Master Boots. We play the Time Snap, crack it, play the passing swing. I liked the Semblance instead because it didn't require a passing for a hit. I like to use my passings a bit more in the mid game to force back tempo. 2 Semblance was like what I played before I figured out you could Mage Master Boots passing. The problem is it's a 0 block, so fitting in more than one is like hard.
Problem, you say? This is the brute life. Add them all to the deck, why don't you?
I don't know how you guys deal with that.
You draw a hand, you're like, I wish I had choice. But Dromai is a deck full of choice, and that's what's kind of beautiful about it. That's what's really gripping me as you go through this deck tech, is the lines on Dromai are just fantastic, and they're non-linear because of how pitch works, with reds maybe generating ash, but slowing down tempo compared to when you pitch a blue. It's really such a fascinating deck.
Before we go into the equipment, I'd just like to go over the dragons one more time, because I don't think I really went in depth on them. A lot of this is obvious to people. The 0-cost dragons are very, very good against aggro. They're ash negative, so you have to be careful with them, and you generally pitch stack them to the bottom, versus guardians, you can put them all at once. If you can play 2 or 3 Chromais in a turn, that will get the rest of your dragons through generally, and is obviously a big swing. As viable just end games. They're fantastic. The big legendary dragons, Dominia is great in pretty much every matchup. Good way to swing tempo. Until you swing with it and you see 2 erase faces in your opponent's hand in the finals match. Then it is very depressing. But that is the Dromai life.
I didn't know that's what happened, actually. That is a little terrifying.
Optimi is there for pitch stack matchups. You can't really justify it in aggro. I mean, you can block with it. It's still 3. But if you can pitch it with 2 blues, it's a fantastic finisher. Kyloria is just overall great. 1-cost dragons are all ash neutral. If you pitch a red to play it, you don't change the number of ash you have. It's an on hit, and together with Pursuit, Dust Up, and CNC, kind of gives you a critical massive on hits to tear away armor from your opponents. Miragai is amazing. It's actually like the 2/4 is like a weird stat line and against non-popper matchups, but it's a 1-cost dragon, so I keep it in. Against popper matchups, it's obviously the best dragon in the deck. Necria will mean you do not have ash problems for the rest of the game. You can poke it with Asvali, you can make it poke itself with BTA. It takes more than 1 card to remove from every matchup in the game. It's just a solid dragon. I've kind of already spoken on Uvia. Tomotai is how you beat Fi. You just high roll it, you hope to God. In other matchups, it's great at hitting Arcane Barrier or Crown of Seeds. If they have an important piece of equipment and you tear it away from them, it's fantastic. Vinserikai is my personal favorite dragon. It just hits hard. It forces blocks. It demands a response and an answer. And it's one of the things you look to like really Miragai out in the mid to late game against Guardian. Yenderai never dies. I stuck a Yenderai in semifinals on turn 1 against an Azalea. It lived for the entire game and pushed 15 damage by itself.
Whew, yeah.
Enough said.
Ooh, pouring one out for Levi. I know he was not happy to face you in that top 4 there, but hey, it still took a Dromai to the finals, and these are all exciting decks, whether it's Azalea, whether it's this wonderful Dromai list. But we've got one more thing to talk about, and that is the equipment before we jump into what sideboarding is like. So you've omitted, first thing to note, Phantasmal Footsteps entirely, purely on the Mage Master plan. So what did that mean for your whole equipment suite?
So generally speaking, in terms of the foot slot first, I actually brought 3 boots to Nationals. I brought Footsteps, I brought Mage Master Boots, and I brought Stilettos as my source of Arcane Barrier for Wizard. As you can see, I'm only on 1 boot now, because Mage Master Boots is the boots you want to wear into every single matchup because of the power of Tome, the power of Passing Mirage, and the power of, oops, I opened 4 dragons, whatever, I'll pop MMB and make an Ash. It's just fantastic. And then the other slot that doesn't change is the chest slot, which is Flamescale Furnace, because Flamescale Furnace is the strongest legendary in Uprising. I don't think it's particularly close. That card is insane. It's a fridge, generates extra resources, generates you ash, and it lets you pitch stack very easily and very effectively. The card just does everything. The head slots where things kind of get interesting. I'm playing double crowns. So Crown Reflection, first we'll talk about, is a second piece of Arcane Barrier against Wizard. That's part of my Wizard plan. Instead of being on Dromai, I just present 2 Arcane Barrier and play a bit more blue heavy. It also, against Fatigue Oldhim, what you can do is you can pop it to replace a Burn Them All with a Passing Mirage to give yourself another Phantasm-free Ghostly Touch attack. It's hard because it means you have to present it against Oldhim, and if the Oldhim decides to go aggro, they have CNC and you don't have Crown of Providence, but you can theoretically do. Now, Crown of Providence is actually interesting because it seems like a no-brainer, but I was on Arcanate Skullcap for a solid week of testing, just to be better into aggro, because I found I didn't actually need the filtering. The issue comes to Guardian matchups, where when you arsenal something important and your opponent presents a CNC, there came situations where I'm like, my hand is a Miragai and a Dromai and a passing, right? I can't block with any of these. I need these for the late game. Or it's like you just can't. So normally I'd say, okay, let it happen, and then I'd start something else with pummel, which is obviously going to happen here. If I had, like, say, a Miragai in Arsenal as well, I was just screwed. So you needed Crown just to evacuate those cards out of your arsenal and make sure you keep them in your stack for later. Also, 2 armors, very solid, and occasionally you break it, it helps. The arm slots, pretty self-explanatory. No Rune Gloves for Arcane, because your arm slots are most replaceable. Ghostly Touch, as I've kind of already explained how it kind of works. It's just a good finisher. And then Silken Form, because there's really nothing better. Like, it's okay. Quell is, like, fine. And making a free Ashwing is relevant and solid. But, like, the arm slot is very much the weakest part of Dromai's kit. So if we get good Illusionist arms in Dynasty, I will be the first one to throw the Silken Form kind of out into the trash.
And how do you feel about its consistency in actually being able to pull it off in the Oldhim and Bravo?
Well, against Bravo, it's generally a test of staying at a life total that's relevant and taking the tempo in the mid game if they're aggressive. Aggressive Oldhim is also a similar case, but you need to kind of play around expose the elements by, like, either keeping cards or playing your E-Pot. Generally speaking, Ghostly Touch exists to say, if my opponent tries to fatigue me, I have a way to win the game. And also, it is a finisher. There was a point, I was playing in Oldhim, I think round 6, where we got to my stack. I was, like, at 2 life, my opponent was at 9, and I had a double Dromai blue hand, like, off of the stack, right? So I play Dromai, swing, get 2 Pauper in his hand, swing at the rest of my dragons, and I find, oh, my opponent does not have a Pauper in hand, right? They've, like, used 2 Paupers, and I just had a blue left. I'm like, okay, you're at 3? He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool. Take down my touch to 9, fire it up, pitch, swing for 9. He's like, can I read that card? I'm like, go ahead. He's like, I'm like, do you want to pop it? Oh, you can't? Good game.
Good game. Yeah, you just touched him for that sweet, sweet 9.
I was trying not to say that, but yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Touch them for 9. Hopefully only if they're above 18. But
Absolutely.
okay, perfect. Now we are into the sideboarding part of the deck. And this is where there's so much knowledge to learn from you. So I think best way to probably go about this, you've done a great job here, and this link will be in the description for everyone. Fabry lets you break down the list per matchup. So let's have you guide us through, like, 3 of the matchups you want to talk about, and we can break down how you're siding.
Absolutely. I think there's, like, 3 important ones to look at.
Sure.
First is the Briar matchup.
All right, here we go on Briar.
That's your generally aggressive matchup. So as you can see, I keep all the dragons in. I don't sideboard any dragons. I'm at about 9 blues with the Pursuit of Knowledges. I still have the Rakes and the Uvias in, and I still have the Tomes. Boarded out, if you scroll down, you will see I have the Oasises out. I have 2 of the big dragons. I have the Guardian blues. And I have the 2 BTA and a Billwing. These are, like, the kind of, like, maybe they should be in, maybe they should be out, etc. Silken Form should actually be in the deck. The equipment on this is not 100% correct. Generally speaking, Tumultai comes out against matchups that are very aggressive that don't have key equipment. It's obviously very important to beat Phi, but against Briar, what am I hitting? An Arcnet Grasp, right? Like, it's simply not worth it for a 5 resource card.
Right.
Oasis Respite is not efficient into Briar. It's just not worth playing. We don't play the Null Rune into Briar, and we don't play the blues that, like, don't block or block for less than 2. We do play the Rakes because Briar has to spend real cards to kill the Rake, same as, like, Viscerai, etc., etc. We play the critical massive on hits, which is Zerakai, CNC, Kyloria, Pursuit, to threaten them. Same with the Dust Ups. Red Dust Up is fantastic in this matchup. E-Strike, I want to shout out as being insane in this matchup, along with Red E-Strike. I played against Brody Spurlock in top 8 on Briar, and he hit me with Coax twice, and he gave me a Quicken token.
Ooh.
And if you've ever played a Red Dust Up and given it Go Again off of a Quicken token, or an E-Strike for 7 and given it Go Again off of a Quicken token, it is chef's kiss.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely fantastic. So generally speaking, the game plan into Briar is to be aggressively developing, if that makes sense. I often go down to 25 in 2 turns, kind of take some damage, to set up dragons, because Briar needs to spend real cards to kill your dragons. They play like 5 poppers. You sometimes just have to play into them. It's not like you attack smartly and like use Mirror Guy if you can, but it's whatever. If you can like stick a Yenderai, they have a hard time killing that. If you rake and you make 3 Ashwings and they need to spend 3 cards to clear your Ashwings, it's ridiculously effective and efficient. If you like block with 3 cards, play an Azalai, swing with 4 dragons, that's a fantastic turn cycle for you.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, they are going to swing Rosetta Thorn at your dragons, and so like 2 health dragons will not survive. Like Kyloria won't stay around the turn cycle, Dromai won't stay around the turn cycle, but that's kind of fine. And we also get Arcane Barrier via the Ashwings to deal with the incidental arcane damage they have. Obviously, this is a matchup where you want to look to set up your tome turn, gain 5, have 5 card hand, make like a good Dominia turn. You like make 3 dragons off of the tome. That's a huge, huge, huge tempo swing. Obviously, Briar can high roll you. They can just CMH you, Force of Nature you, Snatch, if you're dead. But Briar can also super, super low roll, right? Like that's just like priced in. Generally speaking, Briar is a matchup that I would categorize as even 2 favored for Dromai. Personally, I have never lost it, but it always feels like I could lose it, if that makes sense.
But you're saying you're taking the game more aggressively than I actually thought, because in the when I was actually there and you were in the background playing your, I think it was a top 4 or top 8 against Brody, the game lasted like almost 2 hours. Were you playing that game differently because it was untimed? So maybe like a slower, more fatigue strat? Or was that just your mid-game plan that had to kind of pivot to a fatigue strat?
So I didn't try and fatigue him. He was at, he ran out of cards, but he was also at 1 life, and I was attacking for lethal that turn. We just played the game, and he ran out of cards. Because I, pushed him into blocking at some point in the mid-game. As well, he was, we were taking our time to think through our lines, but I played that game normally, and it just got to a point where it's like, okay, I'm kind of in control here. I'm going to push. I'm going to make you block. You only have 5 cards left in deck. I'm going to push him and make you block with this card. I was trying to kill him. He just ran out of cards.
Crazy. What was your board state by the end of that? Was it just a mess of dragons, or
no?
That's where
he was very disciplined about keeping it clear. I think I ended that game. There's like a photo on Twitter somewhere with a Dromai, a Mirror Guy, and then I played Nazvali to turn those on to attack lethal.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, that was legendary. Everyone in the room was talking about it's approaching hour number 2. Who's going to take it? And it was you. Then moving on into top 4, which was fantastic. And that was an Azalea matchup, right? Which I don't think you even have listed in your sideboard guide here. So we can skip over. What's the next matchup you want to go
Don't
into?
worry, Ranger's a buy. It doesn't. You don't.
That's
need
right. That's right.
For that. We can go to my Guardian matchup, which is actually kind of my Brute matchup as well. It's just any matchup that does a lot of poppers. So don't worry, I did respect Levia. This is also my plan into Levia.
I don't know who that hero is. I'm only aware of a Levia in Flesh and Blood.
Oh, sure. Sorry, Levia. Sorry. Look, I didn't see any within 5 tables of me. It just didn't exist in my head.
Oh, come! I was at table 6 for half the event. That's all right. That's all right.
So if you scroll down to the cards that come out, I think those might tell you a bit more than cards that stay in.
Yep.
So generally speaking, CNCs. I actually did bring in 3 CNC against Oldhim just to go a little bigger on my stack, but it's not super important. You take out the red dust ups because you're never making it to the end of the chain, and the on hit doesn't actually matter that much. You take out the blue pursuit of knowledge, it's going to be on hit, and we're bringing in the 5 blues. So we end up on 12 to 13 blues anyways. I cut the Tome of Fyendals in this matchup because I wanted to use my Mage Master Boots on the Passing Mirage. After speaking with some other Dromai players, they were like, oh, I keep Tome if they're aggressive. I can see that, but I would have to rework how I'm sideboarding in general. So as of right now, I think cutting the Tome in this matchup is correct. This is, again, Bravo, Oldhim, Levia, Reiner. If you scroll up in terms of equipment, Yeah, it's just Crown Furnace as your fridge, Mage Master Boots for your Passing Mirage, into Ghostly Punch as a finisher.
Mhm. So this is interesting because I mean, you probably don't play against a lot of Levia, and we don't have to segue the conversation too hard. But I really consider Dromai taking Ghostly Touch into Levia a complete buy. That is like, you will just win that matchup if they try to block you out, go for a long win con. Now you might just have the Ghostly Touch there as some adaptability. It's not necessarily what you're trying to do. But I really find the Levia into Dromai matchup pretty good. Do you? What's your thought on that matchup, actually?
So I mentioned there were two matchups that were unfavored. Levia is not one of the two. But basically, Ghostly Touch is there as a break in case of emergency in that matchup for sure. Like similar to Rhinar and Bravo, I rarely ever find myself hitting them with the Ghostly Touch. It mostly comes down to burn them all, Dromai, some late game Dragon Tempo maneuvers. But generally speaking, Levia has been. I've never played versus you. So maybe I'm just not playing against good enough Levia players, but it's not something I was. Possible. It was something where if I sat down and they were across the table for me, I would be like, yeah, I'm probably going to win.
Wow. We're going to have to make a show match happen or something here, because I couldn't feel more different than about the Dromai matchup, but that's okay. That's okay. She's not the relevant one, right? This, like you said, this board is for your Guardians as well. Obviously, Oldhim, Bravo, way more relevant of the decks. So in your game plan here, what's the deck doing for you?
So, I'll give like a bit of a light brief overview because I know we're going to kind of go into this one specifically later. Yeah. But generally speaking, I am looking to develop board and not swing with dragons to start with, into doing things that pressure them by playing stuff like Mirror Guide passing at the same time, and then swing with irrelevant dragons, such as a Vinserikai or a Legendary, or even a Kyloria. I am looking to block out on certain turns when I have cards I know I can block with, like some of the attacks, some of the dragons that don't necessarily matter. I am looking to stack Dromais and Mirror Guides if I can. I'm looking to find E-Pod against Oldhim so I can stop myself from being exposed on my touch. I'm looking to put Burn the Mauls in the bottom of the deck. This obviously depends on how much Arcane Barrier they have, how much I can get Tomotai to break their Arcane Barrier. This specific list is not running a Remembrance, which is important. Because at 11 p.m. the night before, an Oldhim player who I drove up with, Michael Yasker, told me not to play Remembrance. He then proceeded to fatigue me round 7. Make of that what you will.
So is that why you went up to 61? Is that intentional, just to add like a little bump to if you have to take the game really long?
It's a little extra bump. I just couldn't think of another cut, to be honest. I think I only ended up presenting 60 in the matchups at the Battle Hardened, but I cannot for the life of me tell you what I cut. It might have just been like a billowing, because that's kind of like my cut card. Sure. Generally speaking, you're just looking like to block out on the actual disruptive attacks. Like, so Olivia and Rhinar, you don't really care about most stuff. You just like, you'll put a 3 in front to save some life, you'll put a 3 in front to save life. Bravo, you obviously look at for crippling. Oaken's a lot less common right now, obviously, but you still sometimes have to deal with Spinal out of the Oldhims, and you sometimes have to deal with Terra Sunder. They're really weird. Also, if I'm going to secret pro move for all the Oldhims, if an Oldhim presents Sledge of Anvilheim into me, I assume the game's over. Like, I've already won. Never present Sledge of Anvilheim into a Dromai player, because they will get you to a point where you cannot answer a Mirror Guide, because you need 2 cards to swing your hammer. And you say to yourself, oh, I have Tunic. You're saying your equipment is safe against the deck with Tomotai? Because if I see Sledge, I'm killing Tunic. And I'm making you pay 2 cards to swing your hammer, which means you can't block effectively, which means the game's going to be over.
And that even, there's a bit of safety net in casting Tomotai that way, because you don't even need to hit double red on the invoke there. So you can probably just do it first cycle, no sweat, and just bye-bye Tunic. Yeah.
Generally speaking, the only matchup you really need to hit 2 reds in is Masking Momentum. Everything else you're hitting like Arcade Barrier or Tunic.
Right, and unfortunately in that case, right, you are doing that as soon as you see it. So maybe you don't always see 2 reds, which a little feels bad. But you have the one Uvia, and you mentioned that it's not always super relevant, except sometimes in the Guardian. Is that a choice you're making as you see what the Guardian's doing? If they're more defensive, then Uvia is more critical. If they're more aggressive, then the Uvia is most of the time just a block 3.
No, Uvia comes out always. Because what you do often is I will rake a lot first cycle, and I will use the Ashwings to pressure cards out of my opponent's hand. Like Rhinar, for example, their 3-card hands are generally not great. right? Compared to like their 4-card hands, it's like they'll push 6 in arsenal half the time, right? And they want to keep a 6 regardless because they need 6 to function. Similarly, Bravo, they really want to be on a 5-card hand to dominate if they can, 4+ arsenal, or they need like a surge popping. Uvia lets you basically be a rake. It will stay on board. It will give you Ashwings that you can then use to tax their hand off popples. Generally speaking, there is Ash Hungry, so you have to like make sure you're set up a little bit before you play it. And against Fatigue Oldhim, they can't leave it on board, and they can't hit it with their hammer. Like Whale doesn't kill it, so it definitely costs them a real card to use to kill it. I've seen people throw CNCs or Oakenolds at the Uvia. A Nothos kills it, unfortunately, but you know if they're swinging a Nothos at an Uvia, you're like, cool, I've bought tempo, I've made a Nash wing, not a big deal.
Hey, maybe one day they'll give us a way to defend allies. I don't know if you remember back when Everfest was coming out, they teased on their Twitter, LSS teased on their Twitter that a card was coming out that actually could defend allies. And that card was the Rally the Rearguard Talisman, whatever it's actually called. And they were just straight wrong. You actually can't use it to defend an ally. It had the whole tech situation where, like, in defense reaction, if you have no cards, you could, like, summon a rally to the chain link. Now, there is no defense reaction step in defending allies, so unfortunately it's not real yet. But hey, maybe Dynasty comes out with a bit of support.
Yeah, I hope.
That'd be cool. Be cool, right?
I remember there was one Dromai player who was testing Snag, because you can snag a Phoenix Flame and it'll deal less damage into a dragon. Turned out not to be great, but there's something there maybe.
You know, actually, Snag also resets Rouse to 0, so that it is relevant.
I think the last matchup I'd like to look at is Iyslander, as that I think is going to be. You kind of like if you're bringing Dromai, you're bringing it to farm Iyslander because this is basically one of the deck's best matchups. So in cutting, you kind of trim down. Obviously, the D-Reacts are gone. Even if they're playing, you know, the Wounded Bulls and the whatever, cut the D-Reacts. You're fine. You've got nothing but 3 blocks regardless. We cut Optimi because we are going to be choked on resources because we're going to be full of Frostbites, so it's hard to get there. I've cut the CNCs because when have you ever CNC'd an Iyslander and it actually does anything?
Not possible.
They play their arsenal. The Burn the Malls are out. It was a long debate between whether they're supposed to be the Burn the Malls out or the Billowings out. But like making Ashwings for AB is too important. So we kind of just stuck with the Burn the Malls. Equipment wise, we're on the 2 pieces of Arcane Barrier, the Furnace to generate extra resources to Nash, and the Null Rune, and the Mage Master boots for the Tome of Fyendal, because gaining 5 life against Wizard is really, really good. Because the main fundamental thing here is, with this list at least, we are the control deck. Iyslander can take it slow and be the control deck against a lot of decks in the format, and they can be the combo deck against Guard. They are the aggro deck into us. We will eventually kill them, so they need to make sure we don't do that by holding us back with disruptive plays, such as Ice Veins, such as Poppers, such as CLS. The best way I found to deal with that is get to a point where you've hit AB yes with the wide board of Ashwings and play 15 blues and enough life gain that you kind of just ignore what they do. You just say, okay, I will play defensive this turn. I will pitch out. I will be defensive. In terms of the most important cards you want to see, the most important dragons, Dromai is massive, as they will get you through a popper. Mirror is great because they'll get you through a popper as well. Vinserakai and Kailaria threaten the most, although Vinserakai is vulnerable to being frosting while attacked, which is obviously not great. Luvia to generate Ashwings for the Arcane Barrier. The Rakes are obviously very important. Tumultai to kill Stormstriders is great. Generally speaking, Necria is not super important. Sometimes I cut them, sometimes I don't, because you will generate a lot of Ash in this matchup just by virtue of the Arcane Barrier. The most important play to make in this matchup, and the one that a lot of Dromais don't. Ethan, imagine you're playing against a Wizard, and you draw a Passing Mirage.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, it's a blue, sick. I can pitch it, and I can swing with all my stuff, and I can pay for Frostbite and Arcane Barrier.
All right, I'm there. I'm at the table. I picture it.
Don't do that.
Don't do it. Shoot.
Play the Passing Mirage. You play the first Passing Mirage. If you play the first Passing Mirage, their poppers no longer do anything, right? Because you can just swing. And how do they kill Passing Mirage? They pitch 3 and they Wounded Bullet, which is extremely good for you. That is game winning.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah, doesn't it?
I have never lost a game against Wizard where I've played a Passing Mirage. You know, generally speaking, just a bunch of all the blues we have, which is I think 15, and 3 yellows, which account for more life gain. In terms of Arcane Barrier purposes, Sigils of Souls are basically blues. You just pitch them gain 3. Oasis to watch out for the red Aether Ice Vein. You really don't care about anything else. It's just that the red Aether Ice Vein, it's like in a combo with Insidious Chill. You would like to keep a lot of your hand. You also have to, there's a little trickiness in the timing of when to activate Furnace in response to things. Because remember, you can respond to when Frostbites break. You have to pay 2 to activate the Furnace, but it might generate 2 because you paid 2 reds. And if like the Insidious Chill trigger, you can say, okay, in response, I will pitch the Furnace. I am now floating these resources. I won't discard a card, and I can use these resources to pay for the Arcane Barrier. Those are definitely things you have to think about when you are playing this matchup.
The one thing that's standing out to me about this, breakpoints tend to be really good into Iyslander, or I guess Wizards, right? Because they don't have a lot of armor. So do you find yourself using Pursuit more aggressively or as a blue pitch in this matchup?
That's just a blue pitch.
Just blue pitch?
You have Kevloria, right? That's kind of enough. And I think if you scroll up, I have the Dust Up still in, right? So those are enough kind of on hits. Epot, you're generally just pitching it as a blue. Like sometimes if you just have it, you can like stick it if you like get to the end of your turn. But generally speaking, it's just kind of like being a blue. You don't really have to pay for tax on your attack. If they CLF you, you're just not pushing damage. You're like sitting for a turn. You're pitching to survive. That's fine. Otherwise, they only really like tax you for either the 1 with the Frostbite, or they kill a dragon in Link Step. In which case, if it's not a Dromai, you can't do anything either. So generally speaking, you pitch that a lot more than I'd say it's something like a 5 where you want to like just put it on board and leave it there for your big turns.
So did you actually face a lot of Iyslander on the day? Because they were around, but none made top 8. And a couple of really good players hung out in like the top 32 bracket, not even hitting top 16. Was that your fault?
No, I only ran into 1 on round 2. I wish I ran into more. Oh my god. Okay. I tested the matchup a lot after Nats with Levi, because he told me he had like never lost to a Dromai like the entire Charlotte's weekend. And I'm like, okay, let's play this out. And then I think we played 3 games where I played Chance's list from the same calling. And I went 1-2. I was like, okay, fine, I'm done with this list. I played my list that I brought to Nats, Canadian Nats, and I 5-0'd him. Or sorry, 4-0'd him. So I was like, okay, cool, you were playing American Dromais. It doesn't count.
And what was the main difference there, actually? I'm not aware.
Blue count. I had a higher, and Themais. Chance was on Themais. I was off Shemais, and I presented AB tier. Granted, I was playing Stilettos back then because I hadn't figured out Tome, but which also very, very good in this matchup. But H Master Boots is simply better.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's look, this Battle Hardened, you took 2nd place. We actually have a game that we can jump into here that was streamed against a Bravo opponent. So this will be great. It'll get us in your head. You'll be analyzing the game for us. So let's jump to that. All right, so lucky for us, and thanks to the Realm Games out in Columbus for doing this, we have footage here of actually, I'm not quite sure what round this was. No,
round 4.
Round 4? Okay. Your round 4 game, Dromai against Bravo here. And this one, actually, looking at the timestamps, ended up being a little bit shorter than I would have expected. So this will be great for us to kind of get in your head on how you're playing it here. So
I want to interrupt you because something important just happened. It's turn 0. I look at my hand. It's 4 dragons. And I say, oh no, and I have to pop my Mage Master Boots to start the game to make sure I have Ash, because otherwise the game's over. So I mentioned that happens. It literally happened in this matchup. And that means Ghostly is not online, except for 1 hit with the Semblance. But the bright side here is you can see I'm pitching a Chromine and Aswan, which is an ideal stack. I'm getting a Yenderai, which they can't kill in 1 Nothos swing. So I'm okay with this turn 1.
Wow, super true. And did you actually choose to go first there, or who won the roll?
I chose to go first into Bravo because it's Dominate, right? You just don't want to take the free damage. As you can see, I'm presenting my Guardian equipment. My opponent has importantly put a 1 Arcane Barrier in the form of their boots. So that means I can Total Tie it and hit him with BTA. Right here, he's hitting me with a Crush Confidence. Generally speaking, Confidence is actually kind of relevant because it means I won't be able to generate Ash on the turn, and my Dragons won't have to go again. But it's not, at this point in the game where I already kind of have an Ash, I'm okay just like blocking out a bit, taking some damage, and like letting the crush effect happen. There's more important things I have to get to. I'm like, sure, fine, you're going to hit me with this confidence. It's whatever.
Now, I saw you actually had to read that card a little bit. That tells me that you've definitely never played Leviathan, because you need to fear that card. Tell you what.
Absolutely. No, so as you can see, I'm blocking with an Invoke Necria. Necria is not important. It's a dragon, which is nice to play, but it dies in 1 hit to a Nothos, and it's not part of any key swing turns. So it's a card I am okay with.
Yeah, I just tried to fix the quality here. I hope you can still see it. It looks
Absolutely.
like this
So
is just something that was going on
Yeah.
on their end, but
So
okay.
this is an interesting play people are talking. I E-strike for 7 because that's just my turn, and I get all of his equipment.
Oh
Now
wow.
people were saying this is ridiculous. What is this about? This isn't actually as bad of a play as it seems. The vast majority of my on hits in this matchup are dragons, which can be popped.
Hmm.
And you don't want to waste equipment on. So blocks doesn't actually matter. My opponent uses it to make a good 5-card hand. As you can see, I'm pitching the Vincerikai to the Furnace just to generate just to get out my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And stack it. And this 5-card hand lets him come back with, I believe, a pummel play. Right?
Right.
So generally speaking, if his hand was all poppers and he was going to block a non-popper attack with that hand, it's not worth it for him. So I think the equipment play, I don't know if it's correct, but it's not as bad as it might seem at first glance.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Because yeah, the poppers only demand the singular card. He might not know that you're running stuff like Pursuit of Knowledge as well, and that's a bit of the gotcha that you have
So,
in your list, right?
I mean, the pursuits aren't in this matchup, but
Oh,
yeah, for
okay.
sure.
Well, never mind. But that would be quite the punish if Guardian players were more akin to this kind of play.
So he's coming in with the Crush here. I believe this is dominated as well. He just wants to keep me from generating Ash to start the game, push some damage through. I'm like kind of annoyed by this because I would like to start generating Ash with my hand, I believe. But I think there's like enough blockable cards that I'm like, sure, it's fine. We'll like figure it out still.
Yeah, actually, he's not converting this 5-card hand into anything too scary either. He pitched a Crippling Crush here and a Chokeslam. So he did go for the disruptive route of stopping Ash rather than damage that you might just, I guess, de-react out of.
Yeah, I believe so. It's interesting too. He told me he had played a bunch against Dromais, but there's like a variance in Dromai skill, so it's interesting. He also did not Arsenal this turn, which I'm not sure if that was a mistake or not, but I think he just really wanted to guarantee having a, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think you're right. It looks like he kept might be a Chokeslam or something in hand.
So this is just me being like, okay, I'll play this Necria. I think, again, I can't gain Ash this turn because of the Crush Competence. So I'm like, this Necria will eventually generate me Ash. I'll kind of get back in because the first Ash is very important. The first Ash is the most important Ash by a factor of infinity or whatever. Now I am thinking here. I think I'm thinking about sending a dragon in to tax them up to a 3-card hand. Yes. Okay.
Interesting. So I don't know, in the moment, did you notice that he did hold a card because...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then that swing was purposely to try to tax in case he was setting up. Yeah.
Because this is me pitching to the Furnace. It's the Optimi, saying that for later. I'm trying to build up Ghostly Touch counters because it's Bravo, right? Also, he has 2 Seismic Surge tokens, right? 2 Seismic Surge on the 4-card hand, that's basically a 5-card hand. 2 Seismic Surge on a 3-card hand, that's like very beatable. I believe this is Chokeslam.
Yep, so looks like he popped with a blue one and still has a red one to swing back in.
Yes,
this is not a big deal into you, right? Like the crush effect is just not relevant.
I think I just take it. But yeah, I was asking every 30 seconds, like, any floating, any floating, any floating, any floating.
Right. It could always be the pummel.
Yeah. Pummel's obviously a card you kind of have to play around. It was easier back when I was running the sand covers because you could just cover on top of the pummel and be fine. But now that I'm back on the Fate for Scenes, Pummel's a card I have to play around a lot more. This is, I think, again, I'm just like, I have a card in my hand I'm blocking with. Yendarai, 1-cost dragon. It's like okay, but like I'm okay, you can bring in the 3 block here.
So if you have a hand, let's pose it as if you had a Yendarai or you had like a Sweeping Blow, these 1-for-3s. Would you prioritize playing out the Yendarai or would you prioritize actually swinging with something that's not poppable?
Ash Generation, whichever generation at this point in the game. So as you can see, I am doing a Rake the Embers play. I'm pitching a red for it, and I'm also holding priority using Furnace to generate 3 Ash, and then turning all 3 of that Ash into Ash Wings. This is a very common play you see. I'm also putting a Vincerikai and Burn Them All at the bottom of my deck, which is important. I want to put a blue there to like get the Vincerikai going. Ash Wings are great for taxing my opponent's hand. 2 on the touch. I have Ash Wings up still. This is generally how I like to play the matchup, using the Ash Wings to keep my opponent off good hands. You can see he's coming back with a Spinal. This is one I have to care about, right? This is a relevant on hit that will prevent me from like threatening as much as I want. Because I'll be like, I'll swing with the dragon, he won't pop, it doesn't matter. Important to note here also, I have a Passing Mirage at Arsenal at this point. So I'm kind of looking to combo that with a Mirror Guy. But also at this point I'm thinking, I have a Vincerikai on the bottom. I think I just want to put my helmet in front, throw the passing that's in my arsenal at the bottom of the deck to stack it, and block with a D-reactive hand. So I prevent the crush effect. I stack a card that I want to stack, and I minimize some damage. Right?
Yeah. Wait, sorry. I don't think you are preventing the crush effect yet.
I'm about
at
to,
least.
because
You're about to. Okay, yep. Here we go.
There is this Sink Below was not drawn off of the crown. I had it to start.
You did have it. Okay.
But like, you always do the draw effect first, see if it changes your decision. Because I think I would have rather played a Fate for Scene here, just with the way my hand was.
But you did say you're keeping in the Oasis Respite in this matchup as well. So I guess there's potential for even making that play, depending on.
That's also another part. I don't think I see, like, I barely see my Oasis in this game. They like late. Mm-hmm. Now, this is not a great spot to be in. Down this much health, 0 ash, down a piece of armor, but it's not as bad as it looks, especially considering what what's in my hand.
Mm-hmm. This is great. As a Dromai player, recognizing this kind of state is pretty impressive, right? Because you are 15 life down. Apart from just how the armor trade went so early for both of you, your board state doesn't look necessarily like it was worth the 15 life difference so far.
So this is me. I'm playing the building. I'm thinking on whether I want to make the Ashwing. I think I decided on no because I'm getting the first Ash. Pitching and Tone will tie for later. My opponent, unfortunately, we each make a big mistake this game. This is his. He thought it had Phantasm.
Oh.
And this is him saying, "Oh, can I take the back?" I'm saying, "Look, man, we're in a Battle Hardened. Like, you put that on the board, you said you're blocking. I never said it had Phantasm." Which, obviously, that sucks. I wish it didn't happen, but this is card games, right? This is a tournament. There's money on the line.
Oh, a lot of money.
A lot of money. I never lied to him. I just said, I'm going to hit you with this for 3. It's up to you. You at home, read the cards before you make your blocks, right?
Yeah, and at this point, are you both undefeated as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're definitely both in for the big money at the end of this. It's not like you're at the bottom tables and can let things happen. Because there definitely were things that came up on my end. I was allowing takes his backsies and things like that. But hey, I was out the money by like round 5, so I'm not you. I'm not a Dromai player yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
If you were playing casually, it's whatever. And then I make a Yenderai, Swimming Thunder, Ashwing. So he's on a 2-card, 1 Arsenal hand, and I've got a Chromai on the bottom with the rest of my stack. So at this point in the game, I'm like, I've got 3 dragons and my stack is good. My opponent has been like on low health. He's pitched all of his cripplings at this point, so I know they're not coming up soon. He just throws a 6 at the Yenderai. He's like doing cleanup. I'm like, I have done the thing, which is when you force the Guardian player to play on your tempo. Mm-hmm. He is now not doing what he wants to do in this matchup. He is doing what I'm making him do, which is respond to my actions.
And do you think, should he have killed the Necria there or the Yenderai? Because he could kill him both.
He should have hit me, I think.
Should have hit you? Okay.
I don't, like, the dragons I had weren't relevant enough. With his game plan, he was priced into trying to hit me. But I guess a 3-card hand didn't make sense for him. But it is what it is. Mm-hmm. The difference, if you had to choose a dragon, hitting the Yenderai is probably better, just because it doesn't give me the Ash, and it's such a clean answer to it. Because I can generate Ash off Snecria with an Asvali or a PTA or whatever. Right.
You'd mentioned actually in the deck tech portion, you can ping your own Necria not only with Asvali, but with Burn Them All. Is that
so? Burn Them All says the dragon deals the damage. Necria says when it deals damage.
Oh, right. So you mean the Burn Them All dealing to them? I thought you meant you could ping your own Necria with Burn Them All, get double Ash trigger off. That's not possible, is it?
Yeah. This is kind of unfortunately. This is a setup turn. I'm making a Dominia and I'm playing an Epot because my opponent's on a 5-card hand, right? They're going to come after me. They never want to kill the Dominia here. I don't even have a Mira guy. This is me saying, I'm going to keep this banked up for later. Maybe it'll eat the pressure. Maybe I can find a Mira guy out, but it's a good turn for me. Now so this isn't a really relevant crush, but he's got a card in hand and the card in arsenal.
That's a pummel.
This is the most telegraphed pummel in the world.
Oh,
so I'm in the tank thinking, I'm holding 3 cards I want to play this turn. And I'm like, can I take it? Can I take 11 and just discard this bad card? Or, which obviously I cannot, because I'm also holding a D-react, right? Mm-hmm. So I think what I end up doing is block with 2 cards plus the armor to cover up this whole 7, and then D-react the pummel, which I think was probably the correct play. Gives me an arsenal of or lets me play out a Passing Mirage, I believe, to still retain tempo. Mm-hmm. But, very much I'm looking here man, I wish he just did anything else other than this, because some of the cards I'm about to block with are cards I would rather stay in my stack.
Right, but that's the decision point that could potentially throw a game. So, good on you for noticing. Because a lot of times people get distracted by the pretty cards in their hand and forget that, life is a resource. You use it now, the game is that much quicker.
Like-
So
I can go low. I don't mind like it's the Uvia. I'm blocking with the Uvia here, and I really don't want to block with the Uvia. But as you can see, here's a Fate Proceed.
Yep.
And we're hitting the pummel. I think I leave a red on top, so I'm like, oh, this is like interesting. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it matters that much.
Would you leave it on top just to swing with the mini, or are you going to let that stick?
I think I have a passing in hand, so my plan is just play the passing, because what passing does is you're a Guardian player. I play passing against you. What do? You hit the passing.
You do have to kill it.
You don't do anything else. So it lets me say, okay, I'm buying this hand. I'm buying the tempo. I'm buying a 4-card hand. It's not ideal, obviously, especially if it's against fatigue, but it's something you have to do in the mid game sometimes, and it keeps my Dimini around for another turn.
Yeah, looks like that. There's some glare, but that is in fact the passing sitting next to Epot. So it's a good setup so far. I'm
doing what I like to right now call my 1.5 stack, or like ghost stacking. I'm like 5 or 6 hands in, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's only 30, 20-ish cards left in my deck, and I've seen no mirror guys. I know I'm running into mirror guys, right? I know they're going to be pre-stacked already, so I can play towards that. Now my opponent here goes Imposing Visage. He's supposed to find the showtime first, right? I'm like, that's not how that works.
Yeah,
he finds the showtime, this is a great hand for him, right? He's I am going to kill. He can still kill my passing because he used Imposing Visage, and he gets to set up for a crippling for next. Here's the issue: I have a Dimini. So even if it gets popped, I can take a blue out, make sure it's not like dominated, right?
Yeah.
But like I can cut a blue out of his hand, unless he draws all 5 blues, which we'll look at that in a bit. So
unless it's really like, what's their answer? They don't really run Rouse anymore, so it'd have to be, or not Rouse, Zealous. So it really would have to be like a Rouse into Hammer Swing, and that's sinking 7 into a Dromai.
So
into a dragon rather. Yeah.
So I have the mirror guy here, right? Which is obviously great. I'm floating 2. I went Ash negative on this, but it's like it's mostly fine. So mirror guy Dominia, make the Dominia swing.
Yep.
Reveal the Fate Proceed or the Sink Below. Here's the best part. He's only got 1 pauper in his hand.
Oh no.
But it is 4 blues, which means he's going to be able to come back with the crippling. But that Cradle Crush is the only pauper in his hand.
Holy moly.
Which means I get to deal damage this turn.
Right.
And he's priced into like not wanting to block because he has a crippling turn coming up.
Well, funny enough, this is actually a bit of a punish on how he blocked with Equip, right? Because he could have tried to crown into a pauper. Yes, it's disruptive to his turn, but if his deck's so concentrated, then he could have saved a lot of HP if the crown actually drew him into one. Yeah.
And here's me. I'm like swinging with the mirror guy because I'm like, I can swing with the mirror guy. If a Dromai players ever swing with a mirror guy into a Guardian, things are either really, really good or really, really bad. No in between.
Crazy.
And then I'm like, in my hand, I'm like, well, I was going to save this for later, but my opponent is there with, no defenses whatsoever. So it's like, okay, we'll make the rake, make just another 2 Ash Wings, push 2 damage. Because you want to find chip damage early and often in this matchup. Because we're in like what I like to call stage 2 of the game, which is I have pressure, I'm pressuring you with mirror guys, passing with combo pieces, to get you to a low enough point where I can finish you off with the stage 3 finishers, which is stuff like Optimize, Ghost of Touch, and BTA.
Right, and he's also shown on this turn cycle that he's forcing his hand to just throw the crippling, basically. Yeah. So
the best part about this, though, is that's a Fate Foreseen in my arsenal. I reveal the Sink Below off the Dominia. I know I have this crippling covered with no armor involved.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Like, he should know that, too, though, because I have 1 piece of armor left, so he should know. Well, actually, sorry, because Dominate. So never mind. But, like, he can maybe think, if I don't have a D-React, I'm still, like, taking the damage and the crush. I know that, no, I'm trading 2 cards for this. I'm taking 3 damage. And I'm keeping a mirror guy on board for another turn, which is insane. That's not okay.
Oh, yeah. That's nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Now,
and you can see here, so like the game started with that 15 life deficit, but you called out the pivot turn, and look how much damage has been dealt. Literally 0 since
As
then.
a Dromai, you do a majority of your damage against Guardians in like 3 turns. Like 3 turns over the course of the game, and then you kind of chip them out to it. So I'm doing an interesting order here. I'm doing the Fate second because I want to guarantee the red for Dominia.
True.
Line up on top of my deck. So yeah, I'm blocking the 3, taking 3. I get near guy another round. As you can see, I'm kind of Ash-starved this game, which is I was talking about Sandcover versus Oasis Respite earlier, and why the Bravo matchup was part of why I went towards Oasis. This is why. I've had to like use my Ash a lot just to pressure him. Luckily, I think this is a sweeping blow, so I will not have Ash problems for like another 3 turns.
Beautiful. Let's see. It is wonderful. Wonderful. And in this spot, obviously, you don't even care if it's a blue or red. It's the Ash generation that makes
Yeah,
that card so
absolutely.
good. Just
But also,
fantastic.
my opponent has shown me they will just take these. So this
Yep.
is also just 3 damage, which again, chip damage is very important. And this
Yep.
is a Phantasm with Dromai that I've already
Ooh.
set red for.
Ooh,
He shows me a 4
good
popper hand,
God.
so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take stuff, get a popper out. He's gonna swing at my mirror guy. It's fine. The card in my arsenal may or may not be another mirror guy. Again, ghost stack. I knew it was coming.
Wow. How beautiful. This has been set up wonderfully because let's see here. He's got was that a blue pummel as well? So he's not even really
Yeah.
setting up anything that threatening in arsenal at this
No,
turn.
his hand was like all blues. I think it's a
Yeah.
Macho Grande at Cranial Crush, and I get the disable because it's the cheapest for him to play.
Yep.
Like it's not. Yeah, he takes 2 damage here because he's blocking with
Right.
the pummel, right? Like take the 3 block.
Yep.
Yeah. So I arsenal that card, which I think is another mirror guy. Again, like, haha, you're like we've got to the point of the game where I
wow.
have Judo thrown the tempo,
Yeah.
and then he makes the decision to kill my Dominia instead, which I'm like, okay, I don't really have a scary threat as Dominia. Swing with the Necria is still fine. Except in my hand, I draw possibly the best card to use with the mirror guy. I have to correct the Epot for it because I have 2 reds and I want to keep one of them.
Is it the
So
big boy? It's not Tomotai. I think you pitched.
No, it is a Vincerica.
Oh, it's a Vincerica. Oh, yes. Okay.
Because
Yeah,
I
that's
knew,
good.
again, 2 of those were coming, right? I've only seen 1.
Yep.
So,
True.
Again, if he had swung the mirror guy, I would have played the mirror guy this turn, done with Dominia. Because he killed the Dominia, I'm like, I need another threat, not another Phantasm. Granted, this is, I guess he would have liked to have his armor here for this, 100%. But as it is, here is this Swix 6 on hit, deal 3 arcane. I will take cards.
So one thing on that, you crack the Epot to go ahead and play out the Vincerica without just like I don't know about like free turn of Ash generation, but in theory, even if your hand's all reds, right, you can just kind of start that bank back up.
But however, the other card in my hand was an Aswai I wanted to play. And
okay,
I think
that's what it was.
So that's what it was.
Gotcha.
Generally speaking, Epot is more like important for Oldhim for expose, and against if Bravo fatigues you, it's important. If they're doing aggro stuff, you can just kind of use it in the mid-game.
Right, it's tempo.
It is in fact tempo. Here he is killing the mirror guy correctly. Unfortunately for him, I have enough.
Isn't your catchphrase like "that's good for tempo" or something? What is that?
I am in fact the tempo decider. You tag me on Twitter, and I will tell you if something is tempo or not.
Oh, okay.
This is all tempo. This is all tempo. This
looks
big
like
tempo.
Big tempo. Oh yeah.
Give me 2 cards or take 1 billion damage.
Right. Yeah. Once again, that's clear, but that is the mirror guy that you played out.
Yeah. It's important in these mid games against cards, if your ghost stack allows for it, to chain passings and mirror guys together to pressure, to get them into range of your finishers. Again, burn them all, optimize, ghostly touch.
So is there one thing that can really go wrong at this point of the game, or do you feel it's completely unlocked from here on
out? There's a point I know where I'm going to run out of cards, run out of dragons, and start having to deal with like the finisher stuff. And there's like a hole there where if he pressures me enough, and if he blocked a little bit more here and just like pressured me enough, of course, to block with cards, I know he can still. But I'm feeling pretty favored at this point.
Right, and that'd be the lack of remembrance that really makes that any bit of an issue, right?
Less the remembrance and more that like the early crushes he did that like didn't let me generate Ash and made me go into this plan like a turn or 2 later than I'd like. As you can see though, like the ghostly touch, it's at 6 right now. It's about to skyrocket. That touch is going up insane. So there's the 3rd mirror guy, by the way.
Wow, already. Yeah, so your pitch deck and your Dromais, you're playing out the mirror guys as you see them. Is that pretty standard?
That is not.
Or is that just how it drew?
It's again how my ghost stack worked out. If they're all in the bottom 20 cards, that means they're only all 5 cards apart. But as you can see, I play the passing hand. So there's 1 passing left in my stack. That's like in my head, it's for the ghostly touch. Or sorry, it can't be for the ghostly anymore because I had to crack my MMBs turn 1. I just have to keep a critical mass of blues for the symbol. Now here he is. I put up mirror guy. I put up passing. So he's like, okay, I am killing the threat then because you have 2 phantasm keepers.
Oh,
which
that
is like
feels
fine.
So okay. Like as someone who can just look at that and be like, I might just roll scabs and could just take this whole board as a Bravo. Like, what do? You just can't.
And then I have the Dromai. So this would be a lot better into Oldhim because an Oldhim hand might only have 1 to 2 cards. Into a Bravo, this is just like kind of fine. It means I'm getting like 2 cards out of his hand and dealing some chip damage with Arcane probably. So sweeping into a Dromai no Phantasm, so I'll have 2 action points, which means I'll be able to swing 2 dragons after this, and I'm pushing 3. So this is basically guaranteed damage. Push through 6 this turn. I think I just throw the Okay, so this Asfly is coming when the Necria to make another Ash. Generally speaking, he doesn't really do a lot of arcane barriering in this game. Is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all right. Just goes. Well, you haven't played a Burn Them All yet, so it might. Yeah. I guess maybe it comes up later, but not with the way your board state is.
We'll see. We'll see. And then I'm explaining to him how I hit him and the Necria with the Arcane. And then that's like one of my action points gone. I still have 1 left. I think I just do it again. I think, do I throw the Necria here? I might throw the Necria here instead. I'm not 100%. Oh, no.
Dust Up. Beautiful.
Blue Dust Up. This is a blue. It's a blue Dust Up.
Oh, it's a blue? Okay.
But like it's still going to force a block because it's an on hit and he has no armor.
Yeah.
Again, Blue Dust Up might secretly be the best card in the deck. Be real. Card's kind of nuts.
Interesting. I don't know if I see that clearly. I almost think, I see a Rouse in his hand. Why wouldn't he just
keep a hand to like Rouse and passing?
Well, no. Just I guess block out with the Rouse, keep a popper in deck. I guess because he's doing the same thing here where he's holding a card, which I guess is a guaranteed popper, but like you could do that the same way, right? Block with Rouse. Swing your Nothos with the other card.
It is interesting. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't really notice the pitch there. I'm honest. I like at this point was tunnel vision on like it doesn't really matter what my opponent has lined up, especially because he shuffled his deck in the middle of the game with the opposing Visage.
True.
I need to make sure I'm making my side of the board what it needs to be.
But it is to note he has 0 crippling because he blocked with 2, misblocked with one of them even, and then he searched out and played the other one.
Yeah. And important thing to note here, I'm about to stack all of my sigils together. Not super intentional, but just something that kind of came up. So this is me presenting some non-phantasm damage. He is looking at and thinking, oh god, why? I don't want to block this. Which he had kept unmovables and the blue Guardian D-React, I can't remember the name of it. You can pay extra into it.
Staunch, yeah.
Which I don't think is correct, but that's life.
No.
This is Phantasm proof because it's a Dromai, and then he pops the Ashwing. As you can see, like I remember Brendan Patrick was talking about this. He was like, "Oh, it doesn't look like we're gonna get to the Ghostly Touch part of the game because I was in like 3 or 4 a couple turns ago." I'm about to go from like 6 to 18 counters on this thing, like face up.
Yep, because the Bravo's game plan is just forced to always block. He can't try to pivot with a full hand anymore. Just not possible.
Yeah. So I'm putting 1 into him, which he can't pitch to AB because like if he does, he doesn't have a card to kill the mirror. Right.
Yep.
Now we're getting to the part where I'm feeling okay. I know he's about to like kill my last mirror guy and my Phantasm stuff is gone, but I've got him at 9, which is very much low enough that I can like find finishers for sure here. We've played up my tempo mid game. I've gotten value out of the stuff I need to get value out of. It's just a matter of like I'm going to take some damage here to set up a way to guaranteed kill him.
Have we actually seen your Optimi yet? Because in theory, that could also just be a big way to force end if you actually go for that.
I pitched it turn 1, and I think I'm going to pitch it in a turn or 2. Again. Because right now I am in my second cycle. We are seeing my Dromais, right? Which that Dromai Aswai I pitched turn 1. So this is the start of my second cycle. Or I think here's the Kyloria I pitched. I think I'm just like focusing on building touch and tearing cards out of his hand at this point. So I think I just go like Optimi. Yeah, Dromai. This is me thinking like, he might only have 2 poppers, right?
Hopefully.
If he has more,
like he's actually got a tell. Look at that, he's turning the card sideways.
If he has more, it's like cool. I'm still building up a ton on my touch, and I'm tearing cards out of his hand. Again, versus an old him. This would have gotten 3 damage 100%.
Yep,
because I just wouldn't have that many poppers.
Do you actually like Themai? Or I mean, you're not running it, but Themai into Oldhim has that added usability of
they can't ice react dragons. I don't like this. It's not important.
That's fair. I mean, it would still turn off Crown. Sure. But yeah, I guess ice react.
You pay 2 for it. They hammer it. Like it's just. I mean, if I played Themai, I'd play it in the matchup because it's a dragon, but it's just not. That's my opinion. There's again one of the smartest Dromai players in the world, in my opinion. Jamie Faulkner is a big fan of Themai. So I'd imagine there is merit to it. I just don't like the card. And then, I don't think it would make the Oldhim matchup reasonably better if I played it. So my board is clear. I got 10 counters. He's at 9 life, but my board is clear.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm playing Invincible. This is a mistake. So, as you can see, there's an Azvali Optimine BTA in there. I have not popped his boots, so it makes sense that I'm putting those away.
hmm
I should swing with this Vincera guy
Oh yeah, because you actually do give him the first 5 cards. Oh, but
because he decides to kill it, so I
yeah.
don't lose a counter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think his hand just wasn't conductive to like really swinging out. In
Yeah,
hindsight, playing it out might have been fine there because I was just like, okay, he'll hit it, like I'm baiting him. Here is the passing that I crowned away a while back,
hmm
playing it into another Vincera guy that I put away. This one I'm going to swing because I just want to build counters up at this point, right?
hmm
And he makes a interesting block.
Is that two poppers
Two
gone?
poppers. So the reason is he's playing around Semblance.
Oh,
right?
I see. Yeah.
If I Semblance this Vincera guy, that puts him to 3 health. I should have realized he would have had to play around Semblance last turn, which is why I should have swung. And it would have gotten 2 cards from his hand anyways. I didn't, but whatever. Then I pitched to Vernus. I now have off to my 2 blues at the bottom of my deck for 3rd cycle. So this CNC is interesting. My arsenal right now is a Necria, which means it does not matter. So realistically, I'm thinking like, can I go to 15? Because I don't care about my arsenal. And I think I decide he is obviously floating nothing. There's no pummel in my future. I'm like, cool, I'll just go 15.
Yep.
Was that Necria or Fate Foreseen?
Looks like a Fate Foreseen, actually. Which
thought it was Necria. Okay, then I'm like annoyed because I would have rather converted that Fate Foreseen, obviously. But whatever.
That's all right. That's all right.
It's not important. I'm not playing defense now.
No, you are the beatdown, right? You are the beatdown as it goes.
So I make a Kailoria here. I pitch another Dromai. Dromai doesn't really make sense right now to have, obviously. And I play a Burden the Mall here.
All right.
Now, my opponent still has Arcane Barrier, right? But this is probably going to either poke him or tax 2 cards out of his hand. The other important part of this Burden the Mall is what my last card in the hand is. Which we will see next turn.
Oh, okay. All right. No spoilers? Sure.
No spoilers. It is a card. If you were paying attention to my pitch stack at home, you should know what my next card is.
That's fair. That's fair. I've actually been looking at the Bravo, honestly, more than your side, because obviously you're narrating your side perfectly. So I'm trying to add where I can. Just watching the Bravo, slow and steady.
This is a standard Inozos hit, which I take because I need my hand. Because friends and family, it is the second of the legendary dragons.
Tomotai. Right?
No, it's
I guess we. Okay, Sweeping Blow first.
And then a Tomotai.
Then a Tomotai.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I had stacked 2 blues in the Tomotai, which means this is me. I believe it reveals the Semblance and Easter egg stack. So actually, this hand was meant to maybe be the Semblance stack instead of the Tomotai stack, because it's like 2 blues and a Semblance. But it ended up being a flexible stack. I'm going to pitch that Semblance away. Yeah, I get the arcane damage here, guaranteed. And then I don't even remember the arsenal here. I don't think it's.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's going to be sticky arcane. I think. Do you have 1 Azvali left? Because I saw at least 2 hit the board.
Or did you pitch should have 1 Azvali left? But yeah, we're at the point where it's just like I need to hit him a bit.
Yeah, there's inevitability with this.
Yeah,
1000%.
Yeah, this is just an analysis for 6. He's bluffing pummel here, or at least representing it. Right? He's got the 2 blue.
Yeah, this is where some guy at your local armory is like, no blocks, and then they die to the pummel.
I'm about to be that guy. No,
it's not you. It's not you.
Oh, okay. Just give him an Easter egg. Okay. In hindsight, maybe should have kept the Easter egg around. I kind of tunnel vision on using the BDA to kill him. But Easter egg is 7 no phantasm damage, right?
Right.
That is relevant. But I don't have the Dromai really to take advantage of that.
Oh, is that a sigil in Arsenal? Okay, so you actually were never dead to the pummel.
No, I was never dead. And if you remembered, I stacked my sigils together.
Right. So
I'm at a lot higher life total than you think here.
You pitched at least 2 next to each other. Was the third actually in that hand?
The third was a hand earlier.
Okay, so this is the first one.
Yeah. Yes. Then I'm pitching Semblance here because I just don't have the hand to make it work, even though 13 would be pretty solid here. But it's a rake. It's the rake I pitched earlier for I think the mini or something, which is great because it's okay, here's 1 arcane. Do you want to pop it? You want to pop it?
Whoa.
There's your last crippling.
Whoa, wait a second. I thought we already counted through the cripplings. No, what happened there?
He blocked with 1, swung with 1, and pitched 1 turn 1. So that was the one he pitched and never actually played.
Oh, see, I thought that's the one he pulled out with Showtime.
No, I think it was a different one.
Interesting.
This is me making a dumb mistake. My hand is like some cards I want to keep, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's I don't want to take this. I'll like block the minimum so the crush effect doesn't work, and I literally just miscount. I block it with 1 for my armor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I also missed a PTA trigger. I should have. This burn them all should be on 3. It doesn't matter, but I will end up stack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, then I waste a sway. I'm like, aha, and then I remember, wait, no, I'm blocking 5.
Yeah.
I'm taking this crush.
A little unfortunate. Unfortunate. It's okay. It's life.
Yeah, this is by far the biggest misplay I make. So I'm like, okay, it's fine because I have like not like a good hand, but like I'm like, okay, I can still make a play this turn. Because Gogan doesn't really matter that much, right? I'm swinging with an Ashwing, dealing Arcane, they pop it.
Yeah.
But it ends up being fine because I have the E-Strike in Arsenal, so I just present E-Strike for 7. And like that's just like a turn. They're at 6. It's equivalent. I don't make the swing. I think about the swing. Twitch chat thought I made the swing and got very mad. This is a whole thing. Yeah.
Of course they did. Of course they did. It doesn't change game to game. Twitch chat's just mad.
E-Strike for 7. My opponent, I think they might not actually be holding a popper. If I'm looking, no, they have a thunder. But they finally get to use their staunch response.
Yeah, look at that. Equip took 1 E-Strike down, Staunch Chase next. Now, if you hadn't gotten crushed there, I assume you would have said E-Strike for go again just to fit in the Arcane Ping.
Yep.
Next, right? Yep. Okay.
Which ended up would have actually been like less damage, it turns out, but it would have taken more cards out, so it doesn't really matter.
He still let some damage through on that, which is
I
don't know. It's interesting. I mean, he must see the writing on the wall and maybe just be a bit out of it.
I know it's because he has another pummel.
Oh, I see. Well, it's the same one, right? He hasn't cycled that out of Arsenal. So he wants to just keep making you make this choice.
Yeah, believe it. So yeah, I believe because I'm like looking at this like, oh, it's lethal. It's like, oh no, blah, blah. I have answers to this stuff. I say no blocks, double sigil, go to 11. So I'm never dead to the pummel here, right?
Nope.
But he still pulls it out just because like I'm not presenting blocks, right? So might as well do more damage. And I say, oh, that's neat. Have you met my good friend?
Is it 3rd sigil? No. Okay.
I think I played that already.
Okay. Sorry.
It is 3rd Sink Below.
Nice.
I thought it was Sink or Fate. So he does. I just like fully block out that turn. Never actually block. Committing more than I need to, which is nice.
And keep 2 cards in hand.
Keep 2 cards in hand.
All is good in the world.
It's
another burn them all. Beautiful. That's a 2-turn clock right there. Nothing you can do about it. You have the attacks on the board.
Yeah. He blocks and like he cannot kill me from 5 when I have a 4-card hand and he's on 3. Right? It's just not going to happen.
Not possible.
So he is forced into killing my Ashwing and hoping to God I don't have another. Right? That's his only play here.
Yeah, because burn them all. Does it say specifically dragon or just phantasm?
It has to be a dragon.
Dragon. Okay, so you can't ghostly touch and throw in a little spicy fingers on him. Damn.
No, that'd be. Yes, spicy fingers. But if you remember, we are at my 3rd cycle. You remember when I stacked for my 3rd cycle?
Now we've got the Optimi anyway, which would be game no matter what. Oh yeah.
Optimi double blues.
Oh yeah.
So we are presenting 4 gain damage. Minimum. Actual, because it's on your Optimi. On your Optimi is Chromai and 2 blues, so it is actually only like 4 damage here. But that's
still the game, and there he goes.
So
wow.
In the end, I don't think my opponent had played into a lot of really good Dromais. They definitely made some mistakes for sure. But I think this is very illustrative of kind of how to play into aggressive Guardians who try to pressure you. The key points are kind of like you can play a bit first cycle heavy if you have the tempo. Figuring out how to get that tempo and putting them on the back, and really figuring out how to make them play to your game plan.
Yeah, I mean that looked. Other than like you said, there was only one misplay to potentially critique in that. That was pretty perfect. So hopefully a lot to learn from anyone looking to jump into piloting a deck like Dromai. It's not easy. I've tried to play it a couple times on stream, and it's a deck with very few free wins. You mentioned Ranger. Ranger is one that you did face in top 4. Yeah. But anything else happened during that tournament run that you really want to point out before we wrap this up?
Yeah, sure. I guess I might as well bring you through the whole day, as it were. Saturday, day one, I played against Dash round one, which is a good matchup. He was Pounder Dash, but he started the Chamber to not lose to Fatigue, but he found the Pounder afterwards. You can generally just like block out, play mid range, force them to hit your Dragons, Tywaria hits on them. Kind of fairly easy matchup. There's also an Art of Wars, which I thought was interesting. Game 2 was against an Iyslander. My opponent, at one point during the game, I had 3 Dromais out in the field. And Iyslander is never recovering from that position. He was on like the Michael Hamilton Bull version. Game 3 was against an Oldham player who was never played really the matchup before, it looked like. He presented Sledge and didn't pop anything and tried to race me.
Oh boy.
We finished that game in 20 minutes. I have never had a game against Oldham end in 20 minutes. Very interesting. That was round 4. Round 5 was me versus Dan Grossclose, who was the guy I lost to in finals. I actually beat him, Dromai versus Phi. I threatened 3 on hits within the first 2 turns into a Tome Tumulti turn.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of just like, he had 0 equipment. I had 0 equipment, but like, Dromai doesn't actually lose to Phi. Dromai loses to Mask Momentum specifically. And we were pretty even in life total, so I could take care of it from there. Played another Oldham, who was like very good. Like also played aggressively, similar to that one. But again, stacked. Actually finished that game with the Ghostly Touch, as I described earlier. That was the touch for 9. That was a very fun game. That was kind of my winning in. Round 7, played against the Oldham who came in my car with me, who again fatigued me. He told me to cut the remembrance. Shout out to Michael Yazger. Round 8, played against the Phi player, who also came in my car, Matt Muse. Shout out to him, who we practiced that matchup a lot, and he just beats me up like 4 times a week. So like I kind of knew it was coming. He found double art too. It is what it is. Next day was top 8. Me versus Brody Spurlock. Took an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh yes.
I used his Quickens well. He kind of bricked on one turn. I kind of bricked on one turn. But like I just beat him, and then eventually he ran out of cards and he died. And then I got to go to the washer, which was great because I really wanted to go for about 40 minutes.
After that.
Semis was versus Levi on Azalea. That is available on YouTube if you watch it. It's kind of worth watching because it's neat to see Azalea versus Dromai. But I've actually played that matchup before. There's an Azalea at one of my locals, and I played an Azalea at Canadian Nationals. So not only am I one of Azalea's worst matchups, I'm one of Azalea's worst matchups, and I know how to play the matchup.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, there were a lot of people needing to read his cards, and to make it worse, Levi has the entire deck in German to add to that. What does it say? Like that whole feel. So you really, you were the right Dromai to face him. I think another Dromai might have lost. That's crazy. And
then I lost against the Phi I beat in finals. You can find that video online too. It was he had poppers when I really wish he didn't have poppers. Is like the best way to describe that game. There really wasn't much I could do, but great weekend. Great. I'll take the 2K. Like it's.
Oh yeah. And hopefully, really, like we hope to see you pull through with some other really big wins coming up. You can't go to Worlds, unfortunately.
No.
But hey, there's another ProQuest circuit coming right back up. Dynasty. Who knows what it's going to do for Dromai? Hopefully, some exciting things. But hey, the future is bright for Fab, and we can't wait to see you at more events. All right, so Noah, once again, a real big thanks for you joining me here on the Mansnet YouTube channel to bring us something that's non-standard. This isn't Levia, this is Dromai. And I really hope other people found this exciting, very informative. I definitely did. And Dromai is fastly becoming probably like my second pick deck. And it's really thanks to you. Thanks to all your friends who drove out from Canada to be there at that Battle Hardened event. It was a lot of fun. So floor is yours right now. Any last shout outs, mentions, anything you want?
No, absolutely. So yeah, I just want to say Dromai, very fun, very rewarding. Put the time in, you'll get the results out. And it's really a great deck to like become better at the game with. I don't know if I bring it to Worlds necessarily because of the Phi matchup, but like it's so much fun. In terms of shout out, I got like 3 main groups of people. First, the car I came up with. Shouts to Matt Muse, also came in top 8. Shouts to Michael Yazger, also came in top 8. Even though he told me to cut the remembrance, still mad about that, Mike. Goddamn. Shout out to Derek Chu, who's also in our car. He knew where the good tacos were, Columbus.
Whoa.
We're not going to talk about his performance though, but his taco knowledge was top notch.
He nourished the rest of the team and got you all those top cut finishes. That's 3 people in one car coming all the way from Canada to make top 8. Insane.
I know. We knew no other Canadians were coming, so we're like, yeah, it's probably free. Shout outs to the people I talked about my Dromai list with. There were 3 main components of that. Aaron Chance, who is probably the best Dromai in Canada. If it's not me, it's him. And I think it's probably him. He came top 8 of Calling Charlotte. fantastic player, better guy. Jamie Faulkner, who I think is the best Dromai in the world. Dude was on another level, even for me. Like, he would watch that game and say, you know what, you made like 7 misplays, and I'd be like, sure, really? And I'd just write him down. I'd be like, okay, 100%. Shout out to Mara from Blackwing Studios, somebody I tested the mirror with, talked to list with. She gave me tokens to use during the semifinals and finals that I still have, and they're fantastic. And probably got me the win against Levi, maybe. I don't know. She's great. Her stuff's great. Her gameplay's great. And finally, a shout out to the people back in my LGS. Game night leagues out in London, Ontario. Most friendly group of players you'll ever meet. Shout out to Adam Mercer for getting me into the game physically and like lending me cards when I needed them. And shout out to Tristan Mitchell for running one of the best LGSs I've ever been in. It's friendly. It's nice. They got great food. If you're in the middle of nowhere, Ontario, and you want to play some Flesh and Blood, hit them up.
Wonderful. Well, this was really a pleasure. So thanks for joining me, and everyone watching, I'll see you in the next one.